Welcome. We made it, guys. August the 22nd. It is time for week one of high school football action here on the Final Approach to Game Day, brought to you by Final Approach Irrigation. I'm Christopher Saul. Below me on the list is Hunter Brock, the owner of Final Approach Irrigation and 2012 Niceville High School center on that offensive line. Below him, Collin Bestor with us at Mid-Bay News. And then the incredible, very amazing, and very kind to join us today, Joshua Wilson from FloridaHSFootball.com. We've got so much to talk to you guys about today. We're going to go through it like this week's games. We're going to talk about our three big games: Niceville at Lincoln, Gulf Breeze, South Walton, Crestview at Milton. We're going to do our pick'ems, players of the week, and our superlatives. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go through just about every game on this calendar up here. Don't worry, you don't have to squint. I'll get you a better look at it right here. As you see it, we got 10 games. We're going to come back to this. You don't have to copy it down for the notes. But, guys, how are you feeling? Let's start with you, Hunter, man. It's a great day to be a nice
fantastic day. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a fun night tonight, I think. Let's see what happens. Niceville, Lincoln. It's always a good one. We always have Lincoln early in the season, and it's usually a good telltale.
It's going to be an exciting game over there in Tallahassee. I wish we could make it, but we do have a stringer. I got somebody on the game. Don't worry, guys. We're going to have the information as it comes in. Speaking of guys that are going to be at the game, Collin Bestor over there in Milton, ready for Crestview. How's it looking, brother?
Well, the rain has finally pushed to the north of us, and we have a wet field here at Haywood Hanna Stadium, Hurley Manning Field. I am a class of 2013 grad at Milton High, played offensive line just like Hunter did, but just for the Milton Panthers. Game time at 7:30 here. Both teams are hope to get off to winning starts after having losing seasons last year. Today will be the first day of the Ronnie Douglas era at Milton High, so expectations are very high. Right now it's empty behind me, but it's expected to be a sellout crowd here at Milton High.
And Joshua Wilson reporting from East Florida, checking in with us to make sure that everything's okay here in the Panhandle. How's it looking for the more than 250 games that we have in high school football this evening?
Hopefully Mother Nature is not trying to cause problems like she did last week with some of the kickoff classics in the various parts of the state. I did hear some neighbors over down there, right down the road in Navarre, mole crickets infested the field, so they're playing their game tonight at Gulf Breeze instead. So wow.
It is a wild time as always, and we're so excited to bring it to you. And we're going to get started with you, Josh, right after this break. Well, welcome back, Josh. An exciting Friday afternoon here in Florida for football. We've got two really big games that are not in our area that I think we should cover because you're the statewide guy. They're the big ones. Then we'll go into Lincoln hosting Niceville, and of course our other games as well that we're going to talk about. I believe Choctaw at Gulf Shores, which is being hosted in Fort Walton Beach. So first things first, let's get into this game. Number 7 in the country, Chaminade Madonna versus number 5, St. Francis of Maryland. Why is this game so important other than the fact that, yeah, it's two top 10 teams in the entire country getting together?
Let's talk about it. I mean, honestly, Christopher, with this particular game and the fact that, Chaminade Madonna, defending state champs here, I mean, I like the Lions here. Okay, St. Francis Academy, they're really good. They're a tough team year in and year out. They're kind of like they're Maryland's version of IMG Academy. We'll put it that way. Really, I feel like this is a game that, I feel like it's suited for Chaminade Madonna to come out and win. And, some people are putting like, St. Francis Academy will come out and win this game. But I'm like, no. I'm like, Chaminade Madonna, what head coach Damian Jones has done down there, just what he does each year. It's not just, they don't rebuild at Chaminade Madonna. They just reload. And I feel like that's going to be the situation here for Chaminade Madonna come tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, which that game is going to be over on, I believe, ESPN2. So that's a national broadcast that y'all can check out. Some high school football in the Sunshine State on the national scene.
And then a couple of my buddies from school and college were at Mater Dei. I didn't realize how big Mater Dei was. They're the number 1 team in the country this year, and they're playing St. Thomas Aquinas that won Niceville's classification for the state title last year. How do you see this game going? I mean, Modern Day is so good.
When we were, I did our South Florida Blitz Tuesday night, because we do 8 shows live to hit the different regions up. When we were talking about this one, I feel like Modern Day, I took the gamble, okay, because the Florida Power Rankings Index is putting Modern Day as a 7-point favorite. But if there's one game that St. Thomas Aquinas can win, and especially on a national spotlight, I feel like this is the way to upset the apple cart here and hit the massive reset button on the national rankings and right out of the gate. I feel like this could be that game, and it's just that St. Thomas Aquinas, Roger Harriet's been, as the head coach, he's been in these situations before. They know what it's like to play on national TV. They're not scared. They're not nervous. This is why they're playing the game. This is why several of the games are going to be at Brian Piccolo Stadium at the home of St. Thomas Aquinas. They're used to the spotlight. They're used to being under these lights here. And but this is a 4:00 game. It's an afternoon game. So you know what? Hey, another thing is Modern Day. They don't know how to deal with this Florida humidity.
I know, man. That's what I was thinking. I was like, they got 7 points. No way, man. You can't beat this heat.
At 100% humidity, I mean, if I start putting like, oh well, Modern Day, they don't know what this Florida heat's like. Yeah, I started putting subjective opinion in there, and then that just takes the way of going analytical data here. So, you know what? I took a gamble. I'm taking St. Thomas Aquinas, and my other 2 guys on the in the pick side, they're all St. Thomas Aquinas all the way on the pick. So we're betting the house on that one.
Home field is one thing, but having to swim to the end zone is another, and that's why I'm also going to pick Modern Day. That 100% humidity, like you said, not a joke, not a game. And Modern Day is in a really nice part of Southern California. The weather is fantastic, and they will be completely unprepared to sweat indoors. That's just what that's what I'm saying. It's where it starts, man. And they can't. It's a haunting. It's a haunting.
It's a haunting because and also they don't. It's not a dry heat. It's a wet heat here.
Mm-hmm. That's right, man. Well, I know you got so many games to cover, so I appreciate your time with us today, man. I'm going to let you get out of here, but we'll see you soon, and keep us updated on the rest of Florida as we're covering the panhandle over here.
Yeah, and you can hit that X handle right there, as you see at FLAHS Football. You'll be finding that in FloorHSFootball.com. Hit the scoreboards right there. It's right there, available directly, easily and you can get your scores any which way you want.
That's right. And FlowRidaHSFootball.com is the web address as well. So we'll see you soon. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you here in at least the next week or next couple of weeks.
Yeah, appreciate it, Christopher.
Well, we're back in, Football Dome here in West Florida with the Final Approach to Game Day show, sponsored by Final Approach Irrigation. I have with me Collin Bestor, Hunter Brock. You guys just listened to our brief talk over there with Josh Wilson with FloridaHSFootball.com. 2 really big games involving Florida schools. One involving St. Thomas Aquinas, who, pretty much curb stomped Lakeland last year, who beat Niceville in a 31-30 triple overtime game. Hunter, what do you think about the St. Thomas Aquinas team?
I have a lot of respect for those guys. Once you start running the Big Bend, most of the teams down that way produce quality year in and year out. I think, talking about your matchup here, I also have to go with you guys. I'm going to agree with you and take St. Thomas Aquinas. That heat, the humidity, it's no joke. We know it. We live in it day in and day out. Out there doing irrigation work, we feel it every day. So, Southern California coming here, they're not going to be ready for that. Yeah, sure, maybe they're ranked higher, but environment's huge, man. Environment's huge.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until it's 100% humidity. Collin Bestor standing in the humidity right now in West Florida, talking about Milton and Crestview. Has it started to rain on you, or is it just bugs that are the biggest problem right now?
Well, rain was a big issue around the middle of the day with very strong thunderstorms here, and I was actually walking into the stadium. There's actually a weather station here, a weather bug station. They recorded about almost an inch and a half, like 0.75 inches of rain. So, and there's actually visible puddles on the field. I don't know how that's going to go out for the players today. I assume it's going to be some smash mouth run football tonight. But the gnats are now the biggest problem for me. I think it's like 80% humidity, 90% humidity right here in Milton. Right now, it's fine because I'm not doing anything. But once I walk up those stairs, this giant home side stadium to my right, then it'll be a problem.
Can you give us a little twist and show us how big that stadium is? Because I don't think people realize just how big that thing is.
Yeah, but let's start first over here over my left shoulder. This is the away side. Back when Milton High first came to this location on Stewart Street, a little north of downtown Milton, this was the home side of the football field. And this was built in the 60s. That was built in the 60s. Now that is the home side for the Milton Panthers. And trust me, as a person who played football here, part of our off-season conditioning was running up those stadiums multiple times. Not just running, but jumping stairs at a time, 2-3 stairs at a time for about 30 minutes. And I got to tell you, I was in the best shape of my life running up those stadiums. Now, I'm pretty sure I'd pass out halfway up. But, you know,
as the Lord intended, we're in our 30s, guys. We're no longer game ready. All right. And so the first game we're going to talk about today, Niceville at Lincoln. It's going to be an interesting one because of this breakdown right here, Hunter. I'm excited to see this one because Lincoln does have the home field advantage, and they do have a coach with a lot of experience coming into this game in Florida. But Richard Morgan's no lout. I mean, he's got 4 state titles under his belt just in different states. You know, we also have a significant number of Division I scholarship guys that we're going to get into in a minute. And the game last year, which I believe you and I both watched, that playoff game, where Niceville pretty much laid the lumber on Lincoln 31-10. Are you expecting a rematch that looks like that? Or are we looking at something more like the first game of the season between Lincoln and Niceville, where Lincoln almost dropped, or Niceville almost dropped it?
That's what I think. I think it's going to be close. You know, I really hope Niceville pulls this one out. After watching them against Bay last week, you know, we talked about a few things that I was a little concerned about. You know, I've seen some reports saying how great we looked up front, but quite frankly, sitting in the stands, being a former offensive lineman, I felt like there were plenty of times when we just had a stalemate at the line of scrimmage from the offensive side. So I'm a little concerned about that as far as the run game goes. We were able to kind of get that together with our pass game last week, which is really good. I think that's going to be super beneficial for us. But I know that, you know, Lincoln is traditionally a decent team. They typically give us a run for our money early in the season like that. You know, I really think the playoff game last year, I think it was just late in the season and Lincoln was tired. And Niceville showed up. It's not traditional Lincoln Niceville football. It's usually a little closer than that. And I think tonight's going to be a good test of our guys. I think we have what it's going to take to pull it out, but we're going to have to work together and do things right.
That's exactly right. And speaking of the guys that will be on the field tonight, here are a list of the 6 Niceville Division I prospects that we're watching right now. I mean, Hunter, there's a lot of guys to choose from here, but who are you most excited about hearing about and watching in this game tonight?
You know, I think I like Robert Stitt or Stith. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. They're at wide receiver. We saw him make some plays last week. I think, as I mentioned, you know, we got our act together on our passing game last week, and I think that's going to really be beneficial to us throughout the year this year. So I'm excited to see how well, you know, he performs, see if we could connect on those passes that we're going to need.
Yeah, and I think that the skill players, especially the guys catching the ball this year, are going to be really fun for us to watch because, they are the kind of guys, Collin, the kind of guys that are seniors. They're ready to play ball. They're excited to play ball, and they're making good catches. They're making this quarterback, Deegan McCoy, who's a sophomore. This is his, first set of snaps tonight as a varsity player. They're making them look really good. They're catching balls. They're making plays. They're making cornerbacks look bad, or at least against Bay. And that's one of the things that we're going to look forward to. But the Lincoln side of the ball is not a non-issue, right? I mean, they have really good offensive and defensive players. They have TJ Jacobs, who is a South Alabama commit, Cabron Paul, who is going to go over to App State, and Jelani Wilmer Cotton, who is an interior offensive lineman over there for the Lincoln Trojans, who has 5 offers right now. And I believe he got a 6th. It might have been today or last night after I put this graphic together. But, these graphics, man, they take forever to build. Over on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Parrish, an edge with 3 offers, Troy, South Alabama, Alabama State. they're looking really good. I mean, this is not a team that could be taken lightly, even though Niceville has more Division I scholarship offers right now. Like we said, that last meeting went to the Niceville Eagles. In the historic performance, Niceville has traditionally been a slightly better team statistically. That doesn't mean that Lincoln can't pull one out. I mean, as an SMU guy, TCU historically has run the table with us, but, we get one every once in a while. All right. So it's important for us to remember that as we're going into it. But I think that the one thing that we maybe aren't accounting for fully in all of our data sets here at Mid-Bay News is the coaching that we have not yet seen on display in a varsity game yet. And to that end, earlier this year, we talked to new head coach Richard Morgan, and he gave us this interview. Let's watch this thing, Hunter, and then let's you and me come back to this thing and talk about what we heard and what might have changed over the 2 months since we got this interview. What is it going to look like on the field next year for the layman that's sitting in the stands? What's going to change?
To be honest with you, I don't really know what's going to change because I haven't even evaluated the kids yet. I'll know a little bit more after spring ball. We're going to run our offense, our defense, and some things may look similar to the past. Some things may be brand new, but it's going to be the offense that we bring in. So after I evaluate the kids, I'll have a little bit better idea of how we're going to operate. Like I tell everybody, it's players over plays anyway. So I'll make sure that the offense is catered towards what we do best and what our talents are. So I'll know a little bit more in about a month of how that's going to look. But we'll make sure we put our players in the best position possible. We'll give our guys a chance to do something with the ball, and we'll make sure that we're attacking on defense. And kids that give us everything they got and play hard are going to be on the field, and we'll play exciting football. We'll play football that the entire community will be proud of.
So you've had a couple of tough seasons the last couple of years at Marietta. Can you kind of tell me what you've learned from that and how you're going to bring those lessons here to Niceville?
I mean, we played the toughest schedule in the state of Georgia, and we had some, and we won a state championship. And then after that, we had a little bit dip in talent, and we played the toughest schedule in the state. And sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. But I've been doing this for 26 years as a head coach. Overall, I've learned a lot of lessons over 26 years, but the overall record speaks for itself.
What do you want the kids to know when they step on the field for spring ball? What are the important things to coach for these kids to know? Well,
I already met with them and told them. I said, look, everything's going to be new, so you got to learn me. I have to learn you. So really just give me your best effort. Be going 100 miles an hour. If you make a mistake, that's fine. We'll fix it. But we can't fix effort. You got to make sure you're bringing that effort, bringing that hunger, and bringing that desire every day. And if you do that, we can teach you the rest. So that's been the biggest thing is look, there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some misses at practice here or there. But the more we grow and develop, that's really what I'm focused on. And like I always say, our standard is greatness. So we're striving for greatness in everything that we do. But the greatness has to start with greatness of effort. And if they're giving us that great effort, everything else will come along. So that's really our focus right now is just striving for greatness and give me everything you got and we'll fix the rest.
Over the past couple of years, Niceville has brought in players from other schools due to transfer rules, things like that. Do you have plans to build on the relationship with Ruckle Middle School and with Lewis to bring in more Niceville players, or how does that whole calculus work for you?
Well, for me, it's all about putting a product out there that everybody wants to be a part of. So obviously, I'm going to build a relationship with the middle school programs and get with those coaches about running our systems and making sure that those kids want to grow up and be Eagles. And why would you want to go anywhere else? So to me, it's the school that everyone wants to play for in our middle schools, and I want to make sure that this is an attractive place for them to come and make sure that we're always promoting that brand of Niceville, and they're going to want to be a part of that. Why would you not want to be a part of that?
Looking outside of Ruckle and Lewis, which are our two feeder schools, mm-hmm. there are always players coming from other places.
Yeah.
Do you find that the transfer for high school, I don't know how to describe it better, is a net positive or a net negative, or how do you look at that whole transfer situation?
I mean, it's different here. The rules are different than they are in Georgia, obviously. And I already made a decision that I'm going to focus on the kids that are at Niceville. And the kids that are zoned for Niceville, I'm going to focus on developing them. And then if other people see it as a attractive place that they want to, come to or apply to come to, that'll be on them. But I'm going to focus on what we do here every day. I'm going to focus on this community, building these young men up into great people, and that speaks for itself. And anytime you do that and you're successful, naturally other people want to be a part of it. But my focus is going to be on these kids.
All right. Well, that is the interview that we got earlier this year. Your thoughts, Hunter, man? How do you feel about that? How's this coach sound to you?
To be honest, I don't know whether I have a positive feel towards it or a negative feel towards it. Some of those answers I felt like were just like, hey, I just want to, please you and appeal to your questions and just say whatever I got to say to get out of this interview. Whereas some of them I felt like, okay, yeah, maybe he's going to try and put this in. So I would love to really see a mid-season interview with him. Let's see how the season's going, and then, hey, let's sit down and talk to him again. Like, hey, what are your thoughts? You didn't know what you were walking into when you came in here in May, I think it was. And, what you were working with as far as players go. And you said you're bringing your offense and you're doing this, you're doing that. We're changing up stuff that Niceville, these guys in Niceville have been doing for years. Although we're a young team, we lost some guys, so maybe it's to the better. Time will tell.
It's going to be a really interesting season, and we're definitely going to work on getting that interview with Coach Morgan. And now we're going to see if Collin has actually melted into a puddle after this quick break. So let's talk to our sponsors over there at Final Approach Irrigation. That's a nice looking lawn, Hunter. I'm just saying, in that commercial, did you do that lawn?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Well, we are back. And speaking of green lawns, Collin Bestor is over there in Milton. And I don't know. I think that turf back there could use some help, Hunter.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. He might have a little too much water now. He needs to turn that irrigation off after that rain.
I'll tell you what, Collin. How do you think it's how's the ground looking, man? It looks like that dark clouds passing overhead too. So you about to get rained on?
I have no idea. The clouds are building up to our east over towards Pace, but they probably need the rain. Hopefully their field floods and they can't play today. I say that as a Milton guy, and I will say Milton versus Pace is the best rivalry in Northwest Florida. You can @ me at Collin Bestor. Find me wherever you're on social media. But if you look at this field, it is looking a little better. There is some scouring on the home sideline here. That may not be an issue for most players, but for players like KD Hall, like David Aboya, that could be an issue when it comes to perfecting their routes this evening.
Yeah, and so let's get right into it. We'll come to Aboya and Katie Hall here in just a minute, but I got to show all the graphics because I made them, and I want to feel good about all these graphics I made. Crestview and Milton tonight, 7:30, a non-traditional kick from the typical 7 o'clock that we typically are seeing here in Florida as of late. Crestview and Milton, home field advantage, of course, goes to Milton. We know that because Collin be standing there. Milton also has a brand new coach who I want Collin to talk about because he knows way more than I do. Division I scholarships also go to Milton. Last meeting, though, was a blowout for Crestview High School, and the historic performance is, of course, on the side of the Crestview Bulldogs. Sorry to say it, man. But Collin, let's talk head coach. What are we going to see from O'Ronnie?
Yeah, so after 3 years of Milton going 6-24, the old head coach Kelly Gillis is out at Milton High, and enter Ronnie Douglas, who originally started his coaching career at Tate, taking over a then 1-8 team in 2012, and then turning them into a winning program, taking them to the playoffs a little bit. Then he retired from coaching and came back to Pine Forest during the COVID year and took Pine Forest about 28-6 in those 3 years, and each time made playoff runs with them. Now he's taking over a Milton team who last year went 0-10. 0-10. And I got to say, every year when we talk about Milton football, the expectations are very high. This used to be a school where you look at Milton on your schedule, you were worried, you were concerned. It was a toss-up either way. The last couple of years, Milton has been seen as an easy win. But now, with Milton coming off a win versus Choctaw in the Kickoff Classic and dropping 70 points in the spring game, it looks like Ronnie Douglas has a team that can compete. I don't think for a district title this year, but I think going above 500 being an issue for teams like Niceville and Mosley in that district playoff race. It's going to be very exciting to see.
Yeah,
but when the Panthers take the field at Hurley Manning Field tonight at 7:30, it will have been 658 days without a win.
That's a long, long time, especially when you have Division I prospects on your team. And we have 2 Division I prospects on this Milton Panther football team this year. Katie Hall going to Florida, man. I mean, they don't take losers at Florida. They want winners. And he is a proven winner over there in the safety position. Looking over on the offensive side of the ball, David Aboya, wide out for the Milton Panthers, planning on going Southern Miss next year. What can you tell us about these players and the disposition, of the team overall this year, man?
We'll start with Katie Hall, or Cadian Hall. He is the son of another Milton great, Kevin Hall. He used to play back here in the 80s, and I know his dad very well. We did radio broadcasts together a couple of years ago, but he's a 4-star commit to Florida. He's going to play both offense and defense last year. Last year, the end of the season was mired by injury. He did have 8 catches for about 80 yards, and he had 161 yards on the ground last year. But David Aboya is the star in the Milton receiving corps. He is the leading returning receiver. He was had the second most receiving yards last year. He's going to be an issue for Milton. Also, tight end Brendan Ferris. He's 6'3", 250 pounds. He's a big boy. He's going to be another issue for the Crestview defense as well. But the big question on the Milton offense today is that junior Cade Pierce, the quarterback, will be taking over for his first official start this year. Last year, he threw 47% of his passes, had 5 touchdowns. He also had 4 interceptions as well. We move to the defensive side of the ball. R.J. Coleman will pair with Katie Hall in the secondary. Coleman was the leading pass defender for the Panthers last year, had the only interception on the Panthers team last year. That shows you how bad that Panthers defense was last year. Aiden Spratt, the linebacker, the Panthers leading tackler from last year, he returns for his senior season. And Iron Fleming, the nose tackle on the defensive line, also returns. So there's a couple key players in key positions for this Milton defense and offense returning. We'll see how Ronnie Douglas shapes this up tonight. But moving to the Crestview side, Coach Thomas Grant. Past couple of years, he's gone under 500 the past 2 seasons. But while there are no players with Division I offers on this team, does not mean that there aren't playmakers on this team. We start with Zay Tyson and Jason McGibbon. These 2 are quarterback, wide receiver, running back. They can do it all pretty much out of a wildcat formation. We'll see who gets more snaps tonight. And then we have Max Anderson, the leading tackler for this Crestview Bulldogs defense. He is returning, and he will be looking to be a field general on defense, stopping this Milton offense. But last week, it seemed that Milton could both run and pass the ball at will against the Choctaw defense. And we'll see how things go against this Bulldogs defense at 7:30. And by the way, Christopher, 7:30 kicks are the norm here at Milton High. I've never seen a home game kick earlier than 7:30, even when I was playing here almost 15 years ago. This is the norm.
Man, people got kids 7:30 kick. It needs to start at 7. All right, we got stuff. No, sir. I got bedtimes.
Look, as a person who grew up here, lived here all my life, you can go to Niceville, you can go to Destin, you can go to the Bayou. What are you going to do in Milton, man?
Blackwater River, my guy. Nighttime Blackwater River.
You have the river and you have McDonald's. Come on.
I love it. Well, like you were saying, I mean, Crestview's coming to town. Zy Tass and Jayzion McQueen, they accounted for 5 of every 6 Crestview yards last year. These guys are super important to this team. I'm excited to see them come to Milton because I think that they are going to have an opportunity to go next level. So, for example, I think Jayzion McQueen was 11 touchdowns and I want to say 13 interceptions last year. And he's got another year. He's got another year of experience behind him. He's got another year of Coach Grant calling the plays for him, another opportunity to gel. I think this is going to be a closer game. I still like Milton for this game, but I think that there's a lot of raw talent on that Crestview Bulldog team. Hunter, if you're looking at these 2 teams, I mean, Niceville's going to play both of these teams later this year. Who are you more worried about right now?
Right now, I think, honestly, I think I'm going to be more worried about Milton. Although I could put the argument out there that I think Crestview-Niceville is the biggest rivalry in the Panhandle. So, Milton Pace, nobody's worried about that. But anyway, so, Crestview's going to show up for Niceville, but I think Milton is looking really promising this year. My long-term sights are more on Milton. So we'll see how tonight goes for sure, but I like Milton.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we come back. We're going to go to the game that I am going to show up to, Gulf Breeze South Walton. It's going to be fun. Well, guys, it's time for the Breezer Bowl. South Walton at Gulf Breeze. It is the tale of two beachside towns that are struggled last year, football-wise. Gulf Breeze, I would say, struggled more last year than South Walton, even though South Walton went, I think, 2-8. They didn't have any home games. And so this is going to be a really interesting game for me because, like I said, it's two teams that had a rough year last year, but they also, I mean, they have, and I went too far. That's way too far on the graphics. Here it is. This is the one I'm looking for. Home field advantage to South Walton, who has brand new facilities, but because I'm boneheaded, I didn't put any pictures of those brand new facilities in my graphic deck this week. Coaching, Phil Tiza, brand new, is going up against a brand new coach over there as he plays Gulf Breeze. It's going to be former NFL player Eric Harris, who played at California University of Pennsylvania, which I've always heard of, but don't really know anything about. I mean, you guys speak up if you know anything about the California University of Pennsylvania, but he was an
Very small.
It's got to be like 6 people, right?
Very small.
Undrafted and signed with the Raiders. He played for 8 years over there. I didn't know that about this new Gulf Breeze head coach, but I think that I still like South Walton in this game. I think South Walton has continuity of care with Phil Tiza, to borrow a medical term. Niceville grad, by the way. Didn't know that until earlier this year, but I am excited to see this game because, you know, Gulf Breeze is a district rival for Niceville. And I don't know, Collin, I think Gulf Breeze is in for a rough one tonight.
Yeah, coming off of last year, Gulf Breeze experienced a lot of people transferring to other schools, mainly in Escambia County, some to Pace, some to Navarre. So right now, Gulf Breeze is a very young team with an inexperienced head coach taking the helm. And I think we've talked about this off air. We talk about the district and how Niceville, Mosley, Gulf Breeze, and Milton will all operate each other, with each other. We all think that Milton is not going to be last place. Now, who has to take that spot? It's not going to be Niceville. It's not going to be Mosley. I think it's going to be Gulf Breeze. And I think Gulf Breeze has potential to maybe win 1 or 2 games this year. But if you really think about it, they have the real strong possibility going 0-10 as well. So the expectations for the Gulf Breeze Dolphins are not high, but we will shout out them for letting the Navarre Raiders use their field today while they go over to South Walton. But going into this game, Christopher, I think Phil Tiza and the South Walton team should be very excited, not only to, you know, put a 2-8 year behind them, but they're opening up brand new digs on stadium. And I think that could be the difference maker, getting the fan base excited, coming out and possibly more than likely winning this game.
Yeah, and stay tuned for Collin and I later tonight. We're going to be putting out videos, kind of like stadium review videos. I'm very excited about mine, and I know you're excited about yours for totally different reasons. You played in yours over there, and these are brand new. So I've played the same amount of downs that I played in high school football at this stadium that I did in my high school. So it should be really good. It should be a lot of fun. But before we wrap this whole thing up and we head to our stations for an evening of football, we're going to go through our pick'ems, and then we're going to do our superlatives. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Here we are in the home stretch. Collin is dancing, getting a little wind, hoping it's raining, get cooled off before it all goes south for him, because you know it's going to rain on him tonight. You know it's going to rain on him tonight.
I wore hair gel because I got to look good. And it's sweet. It smells good. And I think it's attracting all the gnats to me.
Oh, it does. There's no getting around that. If you're not like full BO, those things are all over you, man. All right. That's why I'm going au naturel today. All right, because that way I can hide. I can do like, you know, Vietnam and the trees kind of stuff. Anyway, speaking of things that we're going to pick off besides gnats, it is our week 1 picks for high school football this week. As you can see, I put everybody up there. Anybody want to change anything on our big games this week?
Nah, lock them in.
I hear silence from the congregation, so I'll go one by one. Niceville at Lincoln. You know, I don't think we're downers, Hunter, but here we are on the Lincoln side of this equation. What made you pick Lincoln over Niceville?
So, if I remember correctly, we did this pre the kickoff classic.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was honestly questioning what was going to happen with the coach here. Lincoln is usually a solid team against Niceville, so I was kind of Debbie Downer on that one, going, yeah, I don't know that Niceville's going to be able to pull it out. After last week, I think we have a chance, but we will have to see. I really hope Niceville wins, but I'm still skeptical.
I'm right there with you. I'd be interested to hear everybody's final scores on these, because I got Lincoln probably 35-21. But I think it's within the realm of possibility. I don't see why Niceville couldn't win this one. I mean, there's a couple of things they got to overcome, but other than that, I mean, I think it's doable. What do you think, Collin?
See, I was back and forth tossing up this game because I think this is the real 50-50 game of the week to me. The things that lead me towards Lincoln is that Niceville is making a 2.5-hour free drive to Tallahassee today, and travel as a high school athlete just sucks. No one likes to do it, especially when it's the first game of the season. I was going Lincoln, and then I asked my wife, who do you think would win in a fight, an Eagle or a Trojan? And she said an Eagle, so I'm going with the Niceville Eagles this week. So shout out Emily.
That's a red hot take, Collin. I mean, Trojans have swords, but yeah, those talons and beaks, those are sharp. Hunter, what do you got on this final score?
Eagles can fly. Trojans can't.
That's true.
Yeah.
Final score, I think you're probably in the ballpark there. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we may not see Lincoln hit 35. Maybe we see a 28-21 game here.
I like it. Well, I would be thrilled to be wrong on this one. So let's move on to our next game. I think we all agreed on this one. Choctaw, the better team against Gulf Shores. I see this as being a 21-point game. I see this as being like 28-7, somewhere in that neighborhood. Choctaw has a really good offense. Their defense looks really good. I think their defense is maybe a little bit less secure in how good they are compared to their offense. Their offense has a lot of returning talent with a lot of snaps under their belt. So I like Choctaw on this one, and I also like them to probably get a little bit of, second string time right there at the end of the fourth quarter. Collin?
Yeah, clean sweep here. I think it's going to be big. I think we're going to see a running clock tonight with Gulf Breeze and Choctaw. Gulf Shores and Choctaw. So yeah,
guys, we got to have a conversation about how many teams are either Dolphins or like Panthers around here. It's too many, especially the Dolphins.
There's only one Panthers, baby. There's only one Panthers, and it's right here at Milton High, baby.
Am I crazy?
We're right here.
Am I missing somebody? Maybe it's another team. I know there are too many Dolphins. It's Bulldogs. That's what it is. It's Freeport, Crestview. We got everybody and their mom as a Bulldog. Hunter, how are you looking at this game for Gulf Shores Choctaw?
I see a blowout. Possibly even, I agree, probably a running clock somewhere in the second half, maybe fourth quarter, but probably in the third quarter. I could even see a shutout here, from my opinion.
Moving on to our next one, we got Crestview at Milton. I need some scores, Collin. What you got?
See, the Milton Panther in me. Okay, let's start this.
40.
When I was a young lad in journalism school, I promised myself that I would be an unbiased reporter, that I can give any audience, up-to-date, accurate information. Tonight is not going to be one of those nights. I'm going to say Panthers by 1 million. And the only reason why is because the expectations are high. We beat Choctaw. I'm going to say we. I'm a Milton High alum, so I can say we. We beat Choctaw in the kickoff classic. We dropped 70 points in our spring game. The vibes are high. I think Ronnie Douglas, honestly, might be the better coach between the two. And in high school, it's all about coaching more than I think players. So I think Ronnie Douglas get these boys in shape. I'm going to say Milton 35.
See, that's a lot less than 1 million, which is what our breaking news graphic says down there now. I'm going to keep that up for the rest of this conversation. I like a closer game between Milton and Crestview. I want to say maybe 21-17. I think that Crestview's offense is good, but not great. I think Milton's defense is better than Crestview's offense, but I do think they get some touchdowns in there. I think that the real matchup is going to be how Milton's offense pairs up against a very good Crestview defense. So I like 21-17 Milton. I think it's going to be pretty close. What do you got, Hunter?
I'll say 24-14.
Okay.
I say 28-21 Milton.
All right. That's what I'm
I
talking
think one
about.
score.
Look at us all being Milton homers. All right. After this, Gulf Breeze, South Walton. Will it be the Seahawks by 1,000,000? Gentlemen, your scores. Collin, you go first.
It won't be Seahawks by 1,000,000 because
You
it's
don't know that.
physically impossible.
You don't
Even
know
though
that.
it could happen. Even though it could happen here in Milton, but whatever. It's like playing
Milton's
Madden
not
on
playing
easy
pace
mode.
tonight,
I don't know.
dude.
But look, if they could fill Pace's football stadium with water and dump trillion bass in there, no one's going to catch one. Okay, Pace sucks. Anyway, South Walton versus Gulf Breeze. It's on paper. It's two bad teams from last year pairing up in a week 1 matchup this year. But with South Walton having a new stadium, with Phil Tisa being the more experienced coach, obviously Phil Tisa is also he's led his team to playoff games before. I'm going to say South Walton big here. I'm going to say South Walton 35, Gulf Breeze 0.
I like that choice. I think that initially I was like, oh man, Gulf Breeze is such a bigger school. They're going to have more kids. But I mean, all these transfers out, I mean, that's tough, man. That's tough to watch. So yeah, I like 35-0. I like 42-0. What do you got, Hunter?
I was going to say 42-14.
I like that.
That might be a little bit gracious too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're going to find out tonight. Let me tell y'all. All right, Mariana at Walton. Hunter, you and I picked Mariana because of that game last year. We talked about this last week, that Mariana, they throw the football a lot. And much like in Milton, according to their own alumni, there ain't anything to do in Mariana on Friday night. And I know that means
they have a
Chick-fil-A, but this is also a travel game for Mariana. And I think Mariana shows up, man. It's like watching, like when Chipley comes to town to play Northwest Florida State and half a Raider arena is Chipley. Like, I'm not hating. I'm just saying. All right. And so I do like Mariana in this game still. I know, Hunter, you and I we had a back and a him and a haw and discuss on this one. What do you think about this one?
I still think Mariana, like I said last week, I think it was, you got a lot of corn-fed boys up there. Walton, we're starting to see some more folks move into the area around Defuniak, as Niceville's growing, things like that. Crestview's growing. You're getting more guys there. Mariana, it's still just good old boys. It's going to be some real smash mouth guys over there. So I'm taking Mariana. I think they're just going to be tougher and hit harder.
All right. What do you think, Collin? The namby-pamby is from Walton going to get us?
You like offense? You like no defense at all? You like high-scoring games? Well, I think that's what you're going to get tonight with Walton and Mariana. Walton, I'm picking Walton except for you two, and the reason I am is last year, Wells Bettenhausen, although he has left, he was probably the best quarterback in the area, 4,000-yard passer, 5,000-yard passer. Some of those guys are still there at Walton High with that high-powered offense, and I believe they don't pick up right where they left off, but it's pretty darn close. I'm going to say Walton beats Mariana 38-35.
The thing that's nice about when Walton and Mariana get together to play football is that the ghost of Mike Leach actually appears in the stands. And he just says fun comments, he just says stuff about like marriage or life or whatever. And but you have to, in order to have Mike Leach appear, you have to score 50 points together by halftime. It's the rule. It's the Washington State rule. I don't make this stuff up. I mean, I do, but I don't. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see Mike Leach in the stands at a Mariana Walton game. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. And moving on to Northview versus Destin, a very good Northview team heading over to play the Destin Sharks, who've had a rough couple of years. But I mean, they're a new team. So I do like Northview for this one. I do think Northview is going to win by 3 or 4 scores, but I think Destin's going to look okay. What do you think, Collin?
See, Northview historically has been one of these powerhouse teams in northern Escambia County for the past several years, winning a state title a couple years ago. Now, last year's record of 2-8 is not indicative of where this team has been. Usually, before then, they were about 500. They were trending on the downward slope, but once you get down, there's nowhere to go but up. And Destin has a lot of questions as well. They had a lot of transfers from Niceville and other schools come to Destin. Now, Destin is playing for a little something more this year than in previous years. This is the first year of playoff eligibility for the Sharks. Now, granted, they're not playing in a district. They're one of the open teams in Florida, but each game counts for the Sharks from this point moving forward. But that being said, I think Northview is the more complete team. Sorry to our friends in Destin. I'm going to say Northview wins 21.
All right, Hunter, what do you think, man?
I'm going Northview on this again. Destin, young as a program. And, we discussed off camera here some about, Destin had some transfers from Niceville, and they lost some of those guys too. So they've had a lot of changes, and all that happened this summer. So you have some guys come in, and they, knew supposed to be great, and they turn around and leave. Got to figure out how to fill those roles, and just a lot of changing going on over there. Yes, they do have a dog in the fight more so this year with the playoff eligibility. But I still think Northview is going to be, put together a little better than Destin will. So I'm taking Northview. I'm going to say 35-21.
Right on. Well, after this break, we're going to do our superlatives, and then we are going to go to our football games and give you some coverage. Party animals, it is time for our superlatives. The first one is going to be the closest game. I'll bring up all of our games this week for us to look at. We talked about these games, but of all of them, what do you think is going to be the closest one? Hunter, you want to go first?
I think I'm going to take Niceville Lincoln as the closest game.
I like that choice. It's a good one. Niceville, of course, a very complete team, but so is Lincoln. And so I think that's why it's going to be a really good game. I like Crestview and Milton to be closer. I know Collin disagrees. So, Collin, what is your closest game this week on tap?
Actually, I think it's going to be Walton versus Mariana. I think it's going to be a shootout. I said 38-35, but Walton takes it. So a 3-point win for Walton sounds good to me. Actually, yeah, Walton sounds good to me.
And highest scoring game. I think you might have answered that one, Collin. So why don't you go first? Who is going to put up the most points together in any game across the area for us?
Well, my heart says Milton by 1,000,000, but my mind says Walton. As we just talked about, these two teams have offensively good histories on offense, scoring a lot of points. Defensively hasn't really been the case. So Walton scoring 38. I think they're going to be the highest scoring team.
So Hunter, you can either give me highest scoring individual team or highest combined points for a game. What do you see for this first week? Who's going to have the most points?
The most points is definitely going to be in the game. Walton, Mariana there. Who is higher? I think Mariana is going to be higher, but I really think, we're going to be looking at some really high numbers. Small town football, high school football, that's how it is. It's an offensive shootout.
Yeah, and I'm going to look down at the around the area ones because I've been kind of like tracking Freeport a little bit more than probably is healthy for my mental health, considering how tight that district is. But Freeport is playing North Bay Haven. They've got a really good tight end who's committed to Louisville. I don't know. We haven't decided yet in my brain, the multiple personalities that are apparently running around there. But I like them to put up like 1,000,000. So I like Freeport in that game. And the more I research Freeport, the more confident I am that they're definitely going to be second in the district. That's going to be my hot take for this week. But I think they have the stuff to potentially take on Catholic. You heard it here first, guys. Well, with that, guys, we have been here for almost an hour talking football, having a good time, just hanging out. If you guys have comments in the future when you're watching this or watching it live now, we want to see them because we'll respond to them. And I am going to be over at Gulf Breeze South Walton. So if you see me, I'm going to be in a bright green reflective vest. So we'll call in over there in Milton. So if you guys see us, come say hi. And Hunter, we will see you guys next week on this, your Final Approach to Game Day show, sponsored by Final Approach Irrigation. We will see you guys next week. Have an incredible Friday night and enjoy the games.